Just play the damn thing.
About 6 months ago, my friends at Vangoa had sent me a pedalboard to demo called the PDM, I think was the model number. Well, they apparently, I don't know if they took my feedback or general feedback from customers or what, but apparently they made some improvements and fixed a couple of things that they thought needed to be fixed or improved upon, and came out with the SDM, which is obviously a later version of the PDM, and sent this to me and asked me to share it here with you guys. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, and there's that. There's the gig bag of the new one. Seems they may have cut a corner there. This I seem to recall the other gig bag being a little bit nicer than this one, with a little bit more padding. This isn't a bad bag, but I think the old version had more padding to it. We'll see. Here's the front pocket, and there's all the power cables, necessary power cables. There's the power supply, which means, and we'll see what that goes to. I don't want to speculate yet until I get it out. And then, of course, instructions. Assembled, modify the equipment. In case of abnormalities, yada yada yada. Pretty standard stuff when you're that they send out one for anything electronic. And then I'm not going to mess with it because I know how to operate a pedal board. Okay, 2 rolls of Velcro. Not 2 rolls, but I'm assuming that's a hook and loop side and the soft plushy side, whatever they call that. I'll just put those in the front pocket because I'm not going to use those either. I'm not a Velcro guy. And then on the inside here we have pedal straps, which will be handy particularly after you get this thing loaded up with pedals. And voila, there's the board, and that's everything that comes in it. Ooh, that's everything that comes in the box. Let's see here. So, on off, looks like, and I'm going off of memory here. Okay, this is cool. Now on the old version, they had the bottom feet that just folded out. Kind of like you would expect a standard board like this. A feature like that a board like this might have. This one here is a little bit different because here on the back, you can see, there's your power inputs, or your power outputs rather. Yeah, so going over that real quick, you have one 18-volt in. That's obviously for the power supply to run this thing. Okay, and going over the rest of these things, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 9-volt 100 milliamp outputs, one 9-volt 300 milliamp output, one 9-volt 500 milliamp output, one variable 100 milliamp output that can be adjustable from 9 volts, 12 volts, or 18, and a 300 adjustable variable output, again from 9 volt, 12 volt, and 18, so 3 different settings on each of those. And there's also a 5 volt 2 amp out USB, so I'm assuming you would use that to either, maybe, I'm not real sure what the intent for that is, unless maybe they just want to put it on there in case you needed a USB for something, if you want to plug in a light, gooseneck light or something to be able to see your board better on stage, that'd be a good use for that. Maybe you just need to charge your phone while you're playing a gig, there's, any number of things. Now, I did verify with Vangoa before they sent this out. This power supply, these are not isolated outputs. So this is not an isolated power supply. So in other words, this is, so this is really going to be kind of more of a daisy chain, if you will. so far, the really unique thing I see about it is that whole panel actually flips up. So now you can actually, so now from the user's perspective, I can now see the, all the different inputs, and in this orientation, it's it's going to be a lot, going to be a little bit easier to route power cables to and from all of your pedals. And between all of the different variable outputs, looks like this will accommodate, it'll accommodate a lot of pedals. There's probably going to be very few pedals on your board that this power supply would not accommodate based on the specs. Okay, close-up view. I decided to just kind of throw some pedals on here. Pretty, not random, but I think it would be a pretty solid representation of what most people might, a board that most people might build. Certainly one that I would build. First we have my all-time favorite wah pedal, the Ibanez Weeping Demon. Love that pedal to death. I actually love that one so much I own 3 of them. Okay, here we have the first generation of the TC Electronic Polytune. The Wampler Pinnacle Deluxe V2, one of my all-time favorite Marshall in a Box style distortion pedals. Brian did a brilliant job with that one. I love that thing. That is the Tube Screamer TS9DX, so the turbo Tube Screamer. That is the Digitech Hardwire SP7 phaser pedal. Of course, Boss BF3 flanger. That one's been around for a long time. We've all seen that one a bunch of times. Great flanger pedal. I think they just did an update of that one. Speaking of updates, that is the Walrus Audio Juliana, however it's pronounced. The chorus pedal, which is the big version of. They have a smaller one that came before it called the Julia. This one just kind of expands on that. Kind of a sleeper delay pedal that a lot of people seem to have forgotten about since it was discontinued a long time ago. That is the Vox Time Machine, which is a Joe Satriani, out of that line of Joe Satriani pedals that they did back in the day. And last but not least, you have the Joyo Atmosphere Reverb. So again, pretty solid representation of what I would build for myself if I were going to build myself a pedal board. Now, one thing I've already noticed, just me setting these pedals on here, you might be able to see right there, it's already getting scratched up. And that's just from, you can see on the bottom, there's a little bit of adhesive tape and stuff on this particular one, but I mean, this thing scratches. This thing scratches ridiculously easily. So, which kind of makes me think that it might be a little bit. It's definitely a softer material than the PDM. No question about that. All right, so what do I think? This thing's compared to the PDM. I definitely like the design of the power supply a lot better. I think that's a little definitely, that feature is definitely a little bit better thought out. Okay, one last thing, you can actually buy this pedal board in 2 different sizes. It comes in, this is the medium size board, and then there's another one, I think it's called the vppd-s or something like that. Anyways, it's the same thing, but it's the smaller size, so it's about, roughly a half of this narrow. So, or in other words, maybe 1 row of pedals. What do I like about it? I like the design of the power supply a lot better. I think that's definitely a little bit better thought out. These feet are pretty loose, and they're, you might need to get some kind of adhesive or something to get those to stay in place. Otherwise, I can guarantee you I'm going to lose them at some point. But that's not that big of a deal, I guess. But I do like the the overall design of the power supply and that back panel, how it rotates. I think that's pretty cool. The PDM that I demoed 6 months ago, I think, is made of an anodized aluminum, so it's a pretty hard metal. I'm not sure what this material is, but it's definitely a little bit softer, and you can see just from having those pedals on it. And I didn't even adhere those or attach them to the board itself. I just kind of set them down, laid them on there, to get a feel of how big this thing is, and you can already see, just in that little amount of use, how it's already getting really scratched up in a few places. So So if you're wanting to keep this thing in mint condition, I would recommend getting the soft plushy half of the Velcro that comes with it and put it down. If you're not going to use the Velcro, I would still put that side of the Velcro down anyway, and then continue to use your zip ties or whatever your mounting, your preferred mounting method might be. I prefer zip ties, but it is not going to stay mint condition for very long. Period. It's just not. So now overall sturdiness, it seems to be okay. I don't see where it's given. There's any any bend or give or anything like that. I mean, it's still a very, very solid board. It's just the finish on it is pretty soft. So, and last but not least, the gig bag that comes with it is sufficient. It'll get the job done. I do like the bag better on the PDM, to be honest. Like I said, I think that one's definitely got some more padding to it. This one does have sufficient padding in it. The other one was better as well. But overall, for $129, which is how much this thing costs on Amazon, there'll be a link down in the description. I think it's still going to be a very, very good value, particularly when you compare it to the pedal train and equivalent style boards, of the same size, because most of those, the pedal train boards in particular, which obviously is what that design is kind of based off of, the pedal train boards in particular generally are not powered pedal boards, and they're still going to cost you a lot more. So overall, a good value. If you're looking for a good solid board on a budget, check these out. Again, links down below, comment down below. Adios.